Hello to all dear students. In this video, we'll be discussing about a topic of data graphics, that is construction and labeling of graphs. So first of all, what do you mean by a data graphics? It means a graphical representation of data, information or knowledge that includes non-data elements as well. A graphical representation of quantifiable data, that is numericals, usually by means of well-known chart, graph or map types. Okay, so here we'll be having data, that is the numerical values we'll be having, and we should represent it in a graphical manner, so that employs the data graphics. Next, what is a graph? Graph means a diagram showing the relation between variable quantities, typically of two variables, each measured along one of a pair of axes at right angles. So that is a graph. Next, we'll be discussing about construction and labeling of graphs. So first of all, graphs, these are usually they are generally drawn on a specially designed paper known as a graph paper, and this you might have seen, you might have used in your school time, since your school times, isn't it? It is usually available in green color. It is also available in different colors as well. Graph paper has a fine network of horizontal and vertical lines dividing every inch or centimeter into 10 equal parts. So suppose these are the boxes and it comprises of vertical lines which are 10 in number, and the fifth line is little bit highlighted, little bit darker. Similarly, the horizontal lines are also 10 in numbers, where here also the fifth line is little bit darker. So a graph consists of horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, and each box, the length is 1 centimeter. Okay, so basically it is a square 1 centimeter. Next we'll be discussing the main topic, that is how construction and labeling of graphs are being done. It mainly consists of 9 steps. So starting with the step number 1. In the first step, draw two simple lines which intersect each other at right angles. These lines are called axes. Fine. So this is your graph paper, and you need to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line which should be intersecting each other at right angles, means at 90 degrees. So this is first step. Next, step number 2. The horizontal line is known as abscissa or x-axis, and the vertical line as ordinate or y-axis. So this thing you people know. So check out the horizontal line, that is your sleeping line, what you call. So this line, you know, this is x-axis, but it is also known as abscissa. Similarly, the vertical line, that is the standing line, you know, this is a y-axis, but it is also known as ordinate. Okay, x-axis, y-axis, abscissa, ordinate. So the vertical line is the y-axis, that is ordinate, and the horizontal line is the x-axis, that is the abscissa. Next, step 3. The point at which they intersect each other is called point of origin, denoted by O, represented by 0. Okay, so this is the point of intersection where these two axes, where the y-axis and the x-axis intersect. So this is denoted by O, and we call it as 0. Okay, so in this manner we came to know three things. First thing is the x-axis, which is also known as abscissa. Second thing is ordinate, which is also known as y-axis, and the third thing is the point of origin, that is where both the where both the line intersect, it is known as the point of origin, which is denoted by O, represented by 0. Now after this we can do numbering of all the lines. Like on the x-axis, when we move to the right side, we are giving it as +1, +2 and +3. But on the x-axis only, if we move to the left hand side, we'll be giving it as negative integers, -1, -2, -3. Similarly, on the y-axis, above the point of origin, we give it as a positive integers, whereas below the 0 or below the point of origin, we denote it as a negative integers. Okay, Now as you can see, we have made four different, divided into four boxes, isn't it? So 4 means quadra, so we call it as quadrants. Like this is the quadrant 1. In quadrant 1, both x axis as well as the y axis are positive. Next, which might be the quadrant number 2? Yes, we need to move anti-clockwise. This is quadrant 2, where the x axis is negative and y axis is positive. Now this is the quadrant 3, where both x as well as y axis are negative. And lastly, this one is quadrant 4, where x axis is positive and y axis is negative. Fine. So this is what we understood till step 3. Now moving to step 4. By convention, the independent variable is normally measured along the x-axis and the dependent variable on the y-axis. Okay, so we have got two variables. One is independent variable and second one is the dependent variable. So independent variable, we need to write the values of independent variable on the x-axis and the dependent variable on the y-axis. Now, how to identify which one is independent and which one is dependent? You will come to know with this simple example. This is a lady, this is not me, this is some XYZ lady, and she is saying, I eat more junk and increase my fat. Okay, so what this lady is doing? She is eating more junk food, and because of eating more junk food, what is happening? There is an increase in the body fat of this lady. So here, which variable is independent? Yes, eating of junk food is independent. Because she is eating more junk food, there is an increase in the body fat. So how can we increase or decrease the body fat? Depending upon the intake of the junk food. If you are eating less junk food, the body fat will be less, isn't it? So here eating of the junk food is independent variable. Okay, it is independent variable, it depends upon us, it is independent, and we are independent citizens, isn't it? So that eating of junk food is independent, and upon that is depending the body fat. Okay, so if you plot a graph, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So what might come on the x-axis? Yes, the independent variable, that is eating junk food. And if you're eating junk food, more will be the body fat. Less you're eating junk food, less will be the body fat, isn't it? So what is depending upon eating of junk food? Yes, that is your body fat. So in this manner, you need to decide what kind of value should come on the x-axis and what kind of values, what kind of variable you should select for the y-axis. Fine. So this is step 4. Next, moving to step 5. Select an appropriate scale. Scale indicates the unit of a variable that a fixed length of axis would represent. It may be different for both the axes, but it should be taken in such a way so as to accommodate whole data on the given graph paper in a lucid and attractive style. Okay, so for this we'll have our previous example, eating junk versus the body fat. Now here we need to select some unit. On the basis of that, we can select the scale as well. Like eating junk, you might eat junk in kgs, 1 kg, 2 kg of jalebi, 3 kg of samosa, something like that. And body fat we are measuring in percentage. Okay, so next you need to add the values. Like in percentage we can write 20%, 40%, 60, 80, 100. Like we are having our example of that fat lady. She was eating more junk food, so increase in the body fat should be more. If suppose there we have an example of very lean person, means in that case we can write on the y-axis 5%, 10%, 15%, like that. Okay, because we need to we need to have a scale in such a manner that all the values should get accommodated over here. Similarly, on the x-axis we can write 0.5 kg, 1 kg, 1.5 kg, 2 kg, like that. Okay, because we cannot eat junk food in 100 kg or 200 kg, isn't it? 2 to 3 kg is okay, we cannot move beyond that, isn't it? So scale, how you will be writing scale? Like on x-axis 1 centimeter, that is one box, 1 centimeter is equals to 0.5 kgs. Okay, suppose the person is a kind of a person who eat less junk food, so in that case you can write 0.1 kg, 0.2 kg. So on the x-axis it might be 1 centimeter is equal to 0.1 kg, something like that. Similarly, on the y-axis, we can write 1 centimeter is equals to 20%. Okay, so in this manner, you need to write the scale. Okay, and values you need to select in such a manner that all the values should get accommodated over here, and it should be very much lucid and attractive as well. It should not be jumbled. Fine. So this is the way to draw a graph. Next, step 6. Plot the data on the graph papers on the basis of values of x and y variables. It is essential to have two values, one representing variable x and the second representing variable y, to plot a point on a graph. Okay, so this thing we saw in our previous example. Now, step 7. Join the points, that is pair of values, on the graph paper. While joining the plotted points, it should be taken into consideration that the line should be clear. If many lines appear on the same graph paper, different kinds of lines should be used. Different kinds of lines can be a simple line, dotted line, or broken line. Okay, so we'll have an example. See, we have got a title. See, writing of title is very very important. Just above the graph you need to write the title. So here we have got an example of title like blood pressure as a function of time in a clinical study comparing drug and placebo with a regimen of one drug per day. Okay, so what we are doing, we are doing a clinical study, and what we need to find, we need to find the blood pressure. Okay, and now blood pressure depends upon the drug. If you are giving a antihypertensive drug, the blood pressure will be reduced, but if you are giving a placebo, the blood pressure won't reduce, isn't it? So on that basis, what you will write, the x-axis and y-axis? Yes, on the y-axis will be the dependent variable, that is the blood pressure, and on the x-axis it will be not the drug but the time. Here it is written one drug per day, so a week time will be there. Okay, so 1 week, 2 weeks, second, third week, like that. So here we need to make a points like this. Suppose these are the points, like on the 0th week the blood pressure was 110 millimeter of mercury. On the second week the blood pressure was somewhere above 105 millimeter of mercury. On the 4th week you can find this point. On the 6th week this point. On the 8th week this point. Okay, so next what we need to do is we need to join these lines. Okay, so we need to join these lines, and these lines whatever you are making, it should be clear, it should be clearly visible. It should not be very much light that we cannot see. It should not be that much dark that other values may also get, means it will get confused. So it should be in such a manner that we can visually identify it. Okay, now as we have seen in the title itself, we need to it is a comparative study. Okay, it is a comparative study of drug and placebo. So we are doing a comparative study, so this line it might be for a placebo. Okay, so we need to clearly mention that okay, this single line, flat line, is for placebo. So we need to add values for drug also. So this might be the values of drug, and we have drawn the line for drug in a different manner. Like we have drawn a broken line. A broken line is for drug and a flat line is for a placebo. So in this manner you should draw a graph. Okay, like you need to make two lines, means two different style of lines you should make, or else you can use different colors as well. Like a yellow color is for placebo and a blue color is for drug. So this difference in colors, this index, it should be mentioned very clearly. Next, step 8 is use index if different kinds of lines are drawn. Index should clearly show which line represents which variable. Okay, so this box, this is known as index. So as you can see, yellow line is for placebo and blue line is for drug. Okay, you can draw different colors, you can use different colors, or else you can use broken line, dotted line, so as the form. Means if you do not have any color, you have got only pencil, then in that case you can make a single line, a dotted line, or a broken line. But if you have got colors, then you can use different colors, but provided you should make an index showing that which line is for which kind of variable. So next, coming to our last step, that is step number 9, use graph number. It can be used for further referencing. In case of many graphs, the numbering should be sequential order. Okay, so like suppose if you're writing some kind of research papers or any thesis book, if you're writing, then you should always mention graph numbers. Like suppose if you are doing a study on antihypertensive drug, okay, with the help using different types of antihypertensive drugs, so you can write that with drug A, this much was this was the result, and this was the graph which we found for drug number 1, drug A. For example, drug A, we have got such kind of graph. For drug B, we got such kind of graph. So you can refer this first graph with the graph number 2. Okay, so you can use comparison, or you can make such that if you are using graph number, means it will be better for your future reference. Okay, that okay, in graph number 1 so much values I had, in graph number 2 we can refer these all things. Okay, so it is very much requirement that if you are writing any reference if you are writing any kind of a research paper or thesis book, so and so forth, so you should write graph numbers, graph number 1, graph number 2. Like in your textbooks also, wherever you will see that okay, this is graph number 2.4, graph number 4.8, like this. So such kind of graph number should be mentioned so that it is helpful for your future references. Okay, so this is all about construction and labeling of graphs. I hope you people found this video helpful. Thank you for watching.